Hi, everybody. I think I'm officially live right now. I'm Selina King. I'm a jewelry designer. I'm actually sitting in front of my studio, if you can see it back there, in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. I also have a studio in Brooklyn, New York, in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, which, love out to Brooklyn and New York right now. We wish we could be there, but we've been in South Carolina through all of this. And yeah, so I'm here to talk a little bit about my brand and about my process as a jewelry designer. I started my jewelry line. I'm self-taught. I did not study jewelry. I went to Parsons School of Design, and when I started school, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do something in fashion. I got a full scholarship to Parsons to go up there from South Carolina, so it was really awesome. I was there under Tim Gunn, and he was incredible. And yeah, so when I got out of school, I jumped around into a few different things, but one of the things that really affected me the most was my vintage buying. I started doing vintage buying at thrift stores and reselling it to stores on the Lower East Side. And from there, I did that for many years. I was just so inspired by the vintage. My parents, when I was little, my parents owned a thrift store. So it's really deep rooted inside of me. And also they owned a crystal store. And they owned a crystal store as well. And my father was a self-taught jeweler. So a lot of my childhood has affected me now to where I am. Thank you. She said she loves my Marielle earrings. Those are my signature. A lot of where I come from and my parents have affected me to who I am now with my jewelry. So I did vintage for many years in New York City, and thank you. And I started to start to search. I was like, what do I want to do? I just started to get to that point where I was just feeling a little lost. I was around 26. And for some reason, I had started to dabble in jewelry, made my first pair of earrings, cutting apart a vintage necklace. It was like a vintage 70s necklace. And my friend came in and she was like, I want to buy these earrings. She had just come over to see me. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I just made these. I don't even know what I'm doing. And it was more started like a craft project for a while. And so she ended up buying it. And from there, it just took off. For a long time, I started to do mostly beaded jewelry. And of course, I started with my father's tools and using his pliers and stuff. My father was almost 60 when he had me, and he started making jewelry right before that. He had gotten pretty sick. He had emphysema, and he was looking for something to do with his time so that he could stay productive. He was a builder at one point. And he started making jewelry, and they opened a crystal store, and that's where all of my childhood was spent, watching him. And I never knew I would become a jewelry designer. So the reason I'm telling you this story is because it's a huge part of who I am today and what I do. Yes, I do still wear my father's pieces. He did a lot of wire wrap stuff, and he actually never got to the level I'm at, which is, my mom's always like, your dad would be so proud of you. And it's really cool, but we still have a lot of his pieces. And I just remember I still use his polisher here at my South Carolina studio. My New York one, I have a little bit fancier one, but I think about him every time when I'm working on that. And because he used to work on that same polishing wheel. So I basically, I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but I decided after doing vintage for many years, I was just searching still, and I made that first pair of earrings, and I kind of dabbled, and then I moved into fashion styling in New York, and I just wasn't happy still. And a friend of my husband and I, who we were very close with, passed away, and it just kind of changed my whole life. And I was like, this is it. Life is really short. I need to do what I love. And what is that? And something brought me back to jewelry. So I came back to jewelry design. Brad said he'd love to see my studio. I'm worried I might lose you if I walk back there, but there's my studio upstairs, and my husband has a recording studio downstairs. My husband, who's also an artist and tattooer, we share a studio in Brooklyn, and I guess we kind of share a studio here too. But yeah, I just decided to take metalsmithing classes. My husband, we were back in South Carolina he was learning to tattoo. I wanted to learn more about jewelry making, so I took some metalsmithing classes. And from there, that's where I am now currently. So my brand is very, it's very me. It has grown a lot. I started literally just doing like going to restaurants and, I'm from an island. So people started to know my jewelry. So they would have me come in and show them what I had new. And I was like just a little hustler, and I've always hustled. I started this brand on absolutely nothing. I had no money. My friend actually loaned me some money to first get my supplies when I couldn't afford them. And I've literally built my brand, and now I have 3 employees. And and I'm just like pushing it out. I've moved into fine jewelry, and I definitely will. But yeah, it's been really great. So a little bit about where that kind of all came into is so I started, teaching myself metalsmithing, and I've gotten to this point now where, I got to a level where I couldn't keep up, and that's why I had to add employees. But as my brand continues to evolve, I just continue to make more and more just wearable pieces, all of my pieces. So right now I'm wearing the Pavia earrings. These are a newer style. I'm not sure if you can see them, but let's see if you guys can see those. But they're up on my website. I actually, they're almost ready, like back in stock because they had sold out so quickly. These are one of my newer styles, and I love them so much. All of my pieces are really lightweight to wear. And they all reflect just a piece of my culture, which I'm almost half Native American, and my mother is full Sephardic Jew. So I thank you. So a lot of my pieces reflect my culture, which these earrings are very inspired by the Native American culture, and with the line engravings in them. And, most of my pieces, this is one of my signature pieces, which I love these earrings as well, the Marielle earrings. This piece actually was one of the first designs after I started learning metalsmithing that I came up with, and I was like, this is it. I'm on to something. It was the first piece that it took me years to really get where I wanted to be, but my pieces kept selling, and I made this design. I've had it in my collection for probably about 3 years or 4 years now, and I just was like, this is it. This is me. And, when you find yourself as an artist like that, it's really like a beautiful thing because, you're always like searching, and you're always changing, and you're always evolving, which, I still am. But, when you kind of have that aha moment, like I'm on to something, it's a really great feeling. So from there, I've just continued to grow, and it's been great. And so about 2 years ago, I just was starting, my brand was taking off, and I kept growing bigger. But, even though I'm bigger, I'm still really, really small. As you can see, I'm, here on my own property. This is the property I grew up on, where my father, literally pulled the trees out of the ground with his bare hands. I'm very rooted in my art form. Even in my studio in New York, sharing it with my husband. I've been with him for 25 years, since we were 16 and 21. So, even though I'm growing as a brand, I just never want to lose that connection to my art form and who I am as an artist, and, handling every piece, making sure that it's perfect. I just did a sample sale and packed up 60 orders, and every order comes through my hands. Everything I touch, I feel, I wrap, I make sure the customer has a note. So you're really connecting with me as an artist and with my brand. And where do you feel most creative? That's really hard to say. New York inspires me in such a different way than the South. Like the South is just where my heart is, where I grew up, and I feel connected. I think sometimes here, because it's my hometown and my mom is here, and she actually has been sick the last few years, so I've been taking care of her, my husband and I, which has, been really like eye-opening, but also like a really beautiful experience to be here with her and be able to be here with her. So I think sometimes you have just normal life distractions maybe in your hometown, but I do feel super inspired here by the nature. But then in New York, it's like so fast, and you're just inspired by the fashion and the movement, and you see so many other jewelry designers and so much, and you're just exposed to so much. I literally can be inspired for design by just something I see, like moving by me, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, something like that would make a great piece of jewelry. And that kind of moves into like my inspiration just comes from all over the place. A lot of people ask me what I'm truly inspired by, but I could see one vintage piece that inspires me that I say, hey, I love that, but I can make it my way and be inspired by it. Or like I said, the movement of something, or seeing just like a shape of something, or just the shape of a leaf I'm inspired by. So it kind of comes from all over the place. So just to tell you a little bit about my pieces. Oh, and sorry, I kind of lost track a little bit there because I started answering questions. But so what I was going to say is about 2 years ago, I was, as you know, I was kind of getting rolling, and I just kept feeling this like longing for something more in my brand. I felt like, I was already donating to like schools and different events, and, they have an event, Mardi Gras, for the mentally ill. Like I was just always donating and giving, but something just felt like it was missing. So randomly, this event happened in my life where somebody passed away here again, who I knew growing up, and I knew that he had been sick and he had had a stroke, and his wife was taking care of him. And I reached out to her, and after he passed away, and I said, hey, I know you don't know me, but I've known your husband since I was little, and I've heard about his story. And I'd actually, a friend of mine and I had planned to go see him, but he was getting too sick. And he passed away before we got to see him. And I said, I know this is random, but I want to give you a piece of jewelry. And she was kind of like, what? And I was like, I know this is weird. Like, can you just go to my website? I want you to pick anything out on my website. I really admire your strength. I admire you all these years taking care of your husband and standing by his side who had a stroke. And let me just give you this gift. I know I'm a stranger, but I want you to pick something out. So she went to my website and she picked out actually the wave hoops, which is one of my best sellers. These hoops, they just have like a natural movement in them. I like to do my take on a hoop, but with something a little different. And she ended up like calling me crying. She said she named him after her husband. She wears him everywhere, and like to church, just everywhere. She just wears him, and she thinks about her husband, Quinn. And it just something at that moment, like I said, you get these aha moments, just struck. And I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I was put here on this earth to do, is to give back. And, growing up, I saw my parents do that a lot. We had like I said, a thrift store, and we just gave to so many people. We didn't have a lot, but, me and my brother were always taught, like, give to others. Somebody's always in a worse position than you. And I realized that I was given this gift to give back. So, that started something I have now called the Selina King Empowerment Project. And basically what I do is I find women who are deserving women, and, it can be women who've just done so much to give back to others, or women who've gone through really hard situations, and they get to go to my website and have like a full shopping experience. And it's just been really awesome. It's made me feel really good. It kind of brought my brand together and just made me feel complete. And now it's a driving force behind my brand. I am constantly giving. It feels good to give back. It can be random. I'll just, see somebody and I know that they're doing good in this community, and I'll say, hey, I want to give you a piece of my jewelry. Here's my website. I want you to go and pick out anything you want. It could be that spur of the moment, or to like a very planned, heard about somebody and I want to give back to them. So that's a huge part of my, thank you so much. That's a huge part of my story. And, it all stems from, wonderful parents who really taught me, like, you just got to give, and you keep, as you do grow, it's almost like you feel that need to keep giving. It grows more inside of you. And so I feel very blessed to where I am right now, and that I can continue to be an artist and create, but I can give back, and so that's been awesome. So now that you kind of know my brand and my story, like I said, I grew up in Hilton Head and still have my studio in New York City, and I kind of try to split my time between both places. I'll talk to you a little bit about my pieces. So all of my pieces are either in sterling silver or a 14 karat gold, really heavy plating, over either brass or sterling. Any of my earrings that you purchase, anything that goes through your ears is sterling silver ear wires. And I think the way they said it below, you can check out some of my pieces below. If anybody has any questions about jewelry or the process or how it all happens, it's kind of a very magical thing. And, I'm still learning. I've moved into fine now where I take people's diamonds and create pieces around people's antique diamonds, from engagement rings to, I just created a custom nameplate necklace that I did for somebody with their new initials, a bride-to-be from the mother-in-law gifted her with her mother-in-law's diamond. So it's really this beautiful process that has so many different layers upon layers that it's really awesome. So the main thing with my jewelry is I really am about quality. I want the piece that comes to you to be wearable. I want it to be comfortable. If it is a plated piece, I've gone through years of trying to figure out, like, how do I get a really good plating that lasts? What's a good level of plating? Something that doesn't affect people's ears. And so I finally, after years of figuring that out, when I first started, I did. And I have customers who have like up to 30 of my pieces. I've been super, super blessed. The great thing about my pieces is they all kind of have so you have I'm holding the Georgia cuff. It can be an everyday cuff or a going out cuff. I have this in a whole collection. I'm wearing the actual ring, the Georgia ring, which actually has probably become my #1 seller since I released it this year. And it's just like a comfortable piece to wear. The cuffs are comfortable, but I do also like varying sizes. So this is the double, but then I have a single version. So I always try to think as I'm making pieces okay, I love this piece, but I want, other people to love it and be able to wear it. Not everybody wears a big statement earring. So for instance, this is another one of my great sellers, the niece hoop. I wear this all the time. It's so lightweight. You can barely feel it in your ear. So what I did was, because it was such a big seller, that size, I ended up releasing 2 more sizes. So it goes down all the way to a small size. So this is the small niece hoop. And that's basically, a big part of my designing is always thinking the next thing. Okay, customers are loving this piece. Why do they love it? How can we make it better? And yeah, I'll definitely tell you that now. So anyways, since I've been doing this for so many years, that kind of evolved into the fine, which somebody's asking about here. So the fine pieces basically started very organically, just like my line. Right now, I have 5 fine projects that I'm working on. Have been amazing, from a wedding band to this really beautiful sapphire and antique diamond engagement ring I did. So I'm working on a wedding band for that. I'm working on that same customer. She gave me her emeralds and diamonds in the ring from her grandmother, and I completely took them out, and I'm redesigning another ring for her to wear on her wedding day. I'm working on another girl's necklace who has antique diamonds from her grandmother. So she just wants the center antique diamond, and she gave me other diamonds to put around it. So, I don't have any of the pieces right here in front of me. He's saying he wants to see it, but yeah, I am constantly in that process of, where something like that, it can start anywhere from doing a wax carving. You can do a digital model. It depends on the piece, but a lot of it you can start from a hand piece and just form the setting around it. So all those type of pieces are done differently. It just depends on the piece. Just like these pieces, every one of these hoops are hand formed out of sheet. So it's cut sheet with the shape, and we form it into a hoop and solder the post on the back. I don't do every single piece anymore. I used to hand make every single piece myself, but I do have a little bit of help because I can't keep up on myself. So I have a team of people who help me now, which has been really awesome. But like I said, I'm involved still with every single piece, and that's a huge part of me because the line means so much to me. So I don't ever want it to get beyond that point where I can't control that. Since you have movement, have you thought about jewelry for the home? I haven't actually thought about that for mobiles and stuff. I guess sometimes we get so busy, like day to day. I'm just so busy with this line and working on the fine collection. I'm releasing a new fine collection and working on custom fine designs. But that's a great idea, and I should consider that because I think I love movement, and it's such a big part of my pieces. I'll show you a couple more things that I have here. Like these are, because my wave hoops were such a big seller, I released these, which these are the open wave hoops. So they just have like a pressure hook that goes through your ear, and you open it up like that and you put it in your ear. And so you get to wear it this way, which is really cool, as opposed to more of a flat earring. I've learned so much about what customers really want over the years. I've been at this since 2007. And then, I went and took metalsmithing classes, and now, so I'm at my like 7th year of this line. And I would say it probably took me like, 4 years to really get to a comfortable point where I was like moving and grooving, and I'm still, learning and adding on. I'll show you another one of my pieces that I have here that I really love. This is a whole collection called the Gabriellas, and it was inspired by the Mexican ruins. These are the large Gabriellas. And I do a hoop as well, and they're inspired by, like I said, when I was on my honeymoon, we went to the ruins, so the lines in it remind me of the staircases at the ruins and lines in the ruins. And this cuff also, the peak cuff, goes a little bit more like along the lines of that collection. And I've had it in my line for a while now, and I love it. It's just a really nice, all my cuffs are adjustable too. That's the other thing. You can open or close it, and very rarely do I have a cuff that doesn't fit like a wrist. So yeah, so that's that. And feel free if anybody has any questions to ask me. I'll keep showing you a couple more things. So the Georgia ring, for instance, like I said, we have this in a small. I'm wearing the large, which is a little bit of a chunkier version. And when you order the Georgia ring, you should go up a size, a full size, because it's a wide ring, it fits a little snugger. But we also have a small version as well that's a little bit shorter and not as chunky as this one. My favorite piece. Ooh, that's a hard question. I'm really like I still love this piece. The Marielle is still one of my favorites. I wear all the time, but I really am in love with the Georgia collection. And I think just because, I don't know, it's just like even the largest one I could show you, it's just such a, chunky cuff, and it kind of is just such a statement piece. But I'm always loved a really good challenge, because this cuff took me a year to figure out how to make it. People don't realize how much goes into one piece of jewelry. This was one of the most challenging pieces to create, because I wanted to create a large cuff that felt good on and could still be adjustable, but still made a really big statement. So this was the first one I worked on, and once I had this down and I felt good about it, I was able to create the double and the single version. So like you can see, here's the large, here's the double, and here's the single. So I think like this was definitely challenging. A lot of people, which isn't a bad thing, but many people in their collections will just release things every season. I don't do that. I am always constantly evolving and bringing pieces in, but a lot of the pieces stay in my collection for years, because, this piece is relevant now, but it's going to be relevant 3 years from now. And I think that's been a strong selling point of my brand. And, I saw a customer maybe like 6 months ago, and she's still wearing a pair of earrings of mine from like 10 years ago that she bought, and she wears them all the time. And even back then, when I didn't really know what I was doing, I was still thinking about the customer and, how are they going to wear this piece? Is it going to be a good weight? Or is it going to go with multiple things? And I think that's a strong part of my brand, is always thinking about the customer and how they relate to my pieces, and how that's going to look on that customer, how it's going to feel, how it's going to last. And yeah, so I think it's all kind of brought me. This is another one of my favorite pieces. I've had it in the collection. This is one of my first pieces I ever designed. It's super simple. It's called the Sidra Thin Cuff, and it has like a hammer technique, which I wish you could see. There's a thin and a thick, and I love these pieces. I have, my plating is so heavy. I have this same cuff. I've been wearing it since I first released in the collection, so maybe like 6 years. And I still haven't replated it. I wear it all the time. That's how heavy my plating is, especially on like the cuffs and earrings. As long as you care for your pieces the way I tell you to, which is basically just keeping it out of your bathroom and in your pouch, they can last for a really long time. And this is the Sidra Thick, and you can wear them together or just wear them separately, but they're just great. They're all adjustable and just great everyday cuffs, which I don't know if you can see in there. I feel so small on the screen. Thank you so much. I try to make them timeless. You know, I think, like I said, I think in the end, I think as any artist, you know, if you're driven by something, you know, if you're driven by your art form and you're driven by finding a happiness for yourself, but also seeing how happy you can make your customers, you really never run out of ideas because you're inspired by that. And I'm just always inspired to create new pieces. And I miss so much doing my shows during this time. I miss this show, especially, and I miss all my shows because I just feel like that's a big part of what keeps me going is being in touch with the customers, seeing them in person, letting them try on my jewelry, you know. But I mean, right now in the current situation we're in, any pieces you guys buy, if you ever buy a piece, just let me know if you need help with something or if you're really that unhappy with something. I really want my customers happy, so that's the most important thing. So you can always reach out to me. All the emails come to me directly. Even though I do have help, I still, like I said, I'm super involved on every end of it. So yeah, I'll keep talking about some of my pieces. And if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Thank you all for joining. Thank you so much. I look great with casual art. Thank you. Yes. So, you know, you can wear most of these pieces day to night. So I'm an island girl, grew up in Hilton Head. If you've ever been down here, it's pretty much like super casual. It's very much a beach style life. So most of my pieces, you know, a lot of my girlfriends all wear on the boats or to the beach. This is the Live earring. This is the large version, and I have a small version. Like I said, I always like to create 2 or 3 sizes so that customers can find their size that makes them feel good and a comfortable size for them to wear all the time. So this is a great day to night. I mean, you can wear this during the day with like a t-shirt and jeans, but then you can go and like put on a dress and wear it as well. So I think my time is almost up here. So I hope I haven't babbled too much. Please, if you guys have any questions, well, first of all, stay tuned because there's another designer coming up who's a metal worker. Her pieces are super beautiful. And so stay tuned for that. And if you guys have any questions, you can reach out to me directly. So thank you so much for joining. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Thank you guys. Field and Supply, check out their website. It's super awesome. Thank you for having me. And all right. And thanks for everything. Okay. Bye, you guys.